fighting for your rights, and the old red, white, and blue. Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman.
This is the Archangel 2210 here to finally give you the long-awaited review of the Wonder Woman television series, Part 1. I decided to break it up into 3 parts, and each part will be all about one season. So this is Part 1, talking about just the first season. Now, I really liked the first season, mainly because it focused on the true origin of Wonder Woman. They didn't do their own thing of changing it like the previous adaptations that came before this, because this was actually the 3rd attempt for a television adaptation for Wonder Woman. There was one in 1967, I believe, Ellie Wood Walker, and it was going to be called Who Was Afraid Diana Prince. It didn't go on air. It just had like a 6-minute pilot that was only showed to the producers and the actual channel. It's more of a comedy. It's terrible. And then there was one in 1972, I believe. Somewhere around there, 1972. And that one starred Kathy Lee Crosby, and they made it more of a drama. And they made it where she had no powers. She had like this jumpsuit type of costume. It was, you know, it was alright. And she had like, I think, a karate stick, or she did like karate type of moves. But this was the 3rd attempt for doing a Wonder Woman television series. So apparently the 3rd time was the charm. So they cast Lynda Carter, who was relatively unknown. She was a Miss America. So to them it was pretty much a gamble, but the creator of the show, he wanted her. He wanted Lynda Carter to do this part, and she became a household name. And now she's identified completely with the character Wonder Woman, with the way she portrayed Wonder Woman. And this, I really love the origin of Wonder Woman and the way they portray, because they go back to the 1940s. They introduce it with this this like slide of the World War II, they talk about Adolf Hitler, and they talk about the Nazis, and you know, they don't sugarcoat it. They basically, yeah, that's who she was up against in World War II when she first came out. You know, like, she didn't have any in this show. This is the one thing about like, even though I like the Nazi storyline, and that was pretty much in her origin of the comics, I also would have liked like a few Wonder Woman villains along with that. You know, in the season, like, I would have liked to see like a cheetah character, or I would have liked to see maybe, you know, like something more along her that goes in, weaving in her Greek mythology background. You know, something like Ares or Circe or Morgan Le Fay, something along that line. But you know, strict budget, 1975. But they did a pretty good job. So they had to change. Like, that was the one thing. Even though I truly love the way they portrayed Wonder Woman. They portrayed her in a way that had grace and beauty and femininity, and she wasn't full of herself. She had these powers, but she wasn't amazed with herself, because everyone where she came from all had the same abilities. You know, she was just more skilled than them. You know, that's how she won the tournament. And I'm glad that they had the tournament in there as well. You know, they just had it differently where she got a wig, which I was kind of thinking, you know, where did they get wigs on Paradise Island? But small detail, I just let it pass, you know. But I really love the look of Paradise Island. I really liked a lot of it. Now, in season 1, we have an appearance of Wonder Girl. Now, this version of Wonder Girl gets me a little confused. In the pilot, they have no mention of Diana ever having a um, sister of any kind. Now, season 1 is a 13 episode run, so they have pretty much that's it, just 13 episodes, and in those 13 episodes, they take place in World War II. Now, in about 3 episodes or so, yeah, she was Wonder Girl premiered in the Feminine Mystique, which was a two-parter, and then in the season finale of season 1, which they went to Hollywood and they were making a movie about, the World War II, um, and Steve Trevor was there. And you know, the thing is with Wonder Girl, I was kind of confused because I didn't know, you know, because I was thinking, why didn't they just have her name be Donna? Because her name was Drusilla in the show. You know, I don't know if it was legal reasons why they couldn't use the name Donna, because the character Donna Troy was in the comic books at the time. It's not like she wasn't created. This was 1975. The character was created, I think, in 1967. Wonder Girl. So, the Donna Troy version. So, I don't know if it was legal reasons or if it was just they didn't want to use that version of Wonder Girl. I don't know. Maybe it'll be on Wikipedia somewhere, but from what I could tell, there's pretty much no explanation why her name's Drusilla instead of Donna, and it was great to have her in the show. It was great to have a thing like that's pretty much the only other. But my one gripe with the show is that, you know, it does, like, even though it's Wonder Woman in Washington D.C., she's fighting the Nazis, and it doesn't feel like she's in the DC universe. As confusing as that may sound, like, there are no references to, Batman, Superman, which, they weren't going to do, but, you know like the slightest mention they could have done was like Metropolis or Gotham City, which was never done, which I truly thought they were going to mention at least the cities of like Gotham City or Metropolis, or like just someone, oh, I'm going to, like, maybe just a line of dialogue, oh, I'm going to go have a vacation in Metropolis, oh, I'm going to visit a cousin in Metropolis, just like a silly line of dialogue just to mention those cities, to acknowledge those characters that it's in the DC universe. I would have liked that little nod. But I guess since it was the 1975, you have to, whenever they had shows like this where it was based upon a superhero, they kept all the characters separate at the time. They didn't have, like, in the Marvel characters or the DC characters, they kept, like, okay, the Hulk show and the Spider-Man show, those are both Marvel characters that they did in the 70s, but it didn't feel like it was in the Marvel universe, per se. The Batman show and this Wonder Woman show, they're both DC characters, but it didn't feel like they were in the DC universe. As confusing as that may sound, like, it doesn't seem like truly. I really like the way Wonder Woman was portrayed, but I would have liked maybe a couple of villains. Maybe Cheetah. I think they could have worked in Cheetah. I guess they couldn't because of, I don't know if it's because they didn't want to or it's because they couldn't. That they couldn't have trademarked DC Universe characters in there besides Wonder Woman. I would have liked to see other future Justice League members make a cameo appearance. But they do have episodes of, like, aliens coming to, in this season, aliens coming to the Earth, and, they have all this immense power and everything. And Ambrose, who was the alien, who was immortal, who looked like a human. He and I really thought they were going to reference, Krypton, if they were mentioning aliens from another planet that were immortal and that they were looked human. I thought they were going to mention Krypton in some way. No, and or something, or that, oh, there are other aliens on Earth like me. I thought we were going to get some sort of references in this show of Superman. I'm not complaining. I'm really not. I love the show. I thought it was great. But, like, she doesn't have, like, real villains in it. Like, they did try to create, like, a television version rogues gallery for her, but really more like a one episode type of character. It's not like a story arc character. Besides, Hitler, who she never actually faces or anything. She never actually comes in contact with him. They always talk about him, but they don't, like, she comes in contact with people that are like working with him. So she comes and in season 1, a lot of people knew her weakness is that if you took off her belt, she had no strength. So in season 1, they did a lot. They took off a lot of the enemies, took off her belt. They took off her belt, and she had no strength, and she had to use her ingenuity to get out of a situation. So I really like this show, and I highly recommend it. But my one complaint is I would have really liked to see, like, I know we weren't going to see, like, Batman in full getup, popping up on DC or Superman. I just would have wanted, like, a line of dialogue about Metropolis or Gotham City, or about Central City, where the Flash lives, Edge City. I would have liked mention of other cities in the DC universe that are references to other characters in the DC universe that would have been her future teammates. That I don't know. That's just what I would have liked. And maybe a couple of villains thrown in there. But I truly love the portrayal of Wonder Woman in here. I love the effects that they did with the bracelets. Very clever, very smart. I love the costume design. The costume design is probably one of my favorites because this design is ripped right out of the comic book. It's right out of the comic book, and I like the gold eagle because it looks like it's a real, like, woven fabric type of gold. I really like it. I really do like it. It's simple and it's really nice. All in all, I highly recommend this for a Wonder Woman fan, people that likes the comic books, people that have heard of the show but never actually seen it. I highly recommend it. Anyone that was a fan of the show, but because they don't show it in repeats on TV, get it on DVD. It is really great. This is season 1. I give it an 8 out of 10. Mainly because she really didn't have any opposing villains, and because she didn't have any mention of it being the actual DC universe. But 8 out of 10 for season 1 of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, now the world is ready for you, and the wonders you can do. Make a honky dove, stop a war with love, make a liar tell it true. Wonder Woman, get us out from under. Wonder Woman, all our hopes are pinned upon you, and the magic that you do. Stop a bullet cold, make the axis fold, change their mind.